You should have dodged the goalie, you idiot. The story of Maradona's historic goal inspired by his 10-year-old brother. In the quarterfinal match between Argentina and England at the 1986 World Cup in Mexico, young Diego Maradona, at his worst and most magnificent, displayed the thief's hand and the genius's foot. When he scored with his own hand, the famous French commentator Michel Larquy exclaimed, "What a despicable bastard! The devil scored with his own hand. A shot not worthy of a professional player, but of a neighborhood tramp." Only the referee didn't see the farce. Then, a few minutes later, the devil was elevated to sainthood as he received the ball with his left foot and then dribbled like an arrow, dodging and weaving past half the English team with his eyes fixed on the ground. To his left, he saw teammate Jorge Valdano ready to receive, but he kept asking himself, "Should I pass or finish?" Valdano thought he couldn't see him in the crowd of players, which was a mistake because he had unparalleled peripheral vision that allowed him to catch a glimpse of him. But the rush of defenders toward him led him to choose the breakaway option, and he found himself in front of goalkeeper Shelton, dribbling with his left foot before dipping the ball with the outside of his foot for a stunning, no, legendary goal that led Valdano's teammate to say to him in the locker room, "That's it. It's done. Here you are today, sharing a table with the legendary Pelé." The ingenious World Cup goal was dubbed the goal of the century, and Diego Armando Maradona said, "I dedicate this dream goal, the goal of my life, to my little brother Hugo. No, this goal is my little brother's goal and no one else's." An 18-year-old Argentine player caused a sensation at the 1979 Youth World Cup in Japan, walking away with the World Cup in one hand and the MVP award in the other. He was characterized by a superb game, a magical left foot, and a high level of skill despite being only 5 feet 7 inches, but that diminutive figure, along with his speed, quickness, and peripheral vision, was one of the factors in his extraordinary excellence. As his center of gravity was close to the ground, and his feet, which are slightly longer than the rest of his body, gave him flexibility in rotation, speed, and change of direction from standing to moving, making it difficult to intercept him or stand in the way of his penetrating power. In 1980, after his impressive performance at the Youth World Cup in Japan, coach Cesar Menotti promoted him to the first team, so he was included in the Argentina squad for the friendly match against England at the prestigious Wembley Stadium, and naturally people gathered on May 13th to follow their team and see the rising icon of the football world after his name had become famous and popular. The English spectators were not disappointed because their team beat the Tango 3-1, but because Maradona played for them a magical scene that he brought from another world to spread with his golden foot on the field, catching the ball and breaking through the defenders with lightning speed, before coming face to face with the goalkeeper and shooting with the outside of his foot, which unfortunately missed the post by a few millimeters. He didn't score that day, but the crowd stood and applauded his unprecedented feat. It was the goal of my life that didn't happen. I always dreamed of scoring a goal like that. I would have loved to do it in front of the English fans and in the great temple of football, Wembley, he told the press after the match. When Maradona returned to Argentina, he and his family talked about what he had done in that match and the missed goal. But his younger brother Hugo, who was barely 10 years old, stood out from the crowd when he addressed him in a provocative tone that offended his older brother's pride. "You should have dribbled past the goalkeeper. You idiot. You could have easily crossed and put the ball like an apple in the basket, but you rushed and missed a legendary goal by shooting like that." Diego responded angrily to his provocative brother. "Shut up. You're exaggerating," before adding to his relatives, "What a blabbermouth. I just had bad luck. We played on Friday the 13th. That's all." The relationship between England and Argentina, which 2 years earlier had invited Argentina to play a friendly match in its stadium in London, would not last long. As soon as 1982 arrived, relations between the two countries hit rock bottom due to sharp developments related to the sovereignty dispute between the two countries over the Falkland Islands, located in the South Atlantic Ocean. The diplomatic conflict evolved into a brutal media campaign that went beyond the pale and ended in an armed conflict known as the Malvinas War, which ended in a crushing military defeat for Argentina. Naturally, the media confusion arose after the draw for the World Cup in Mexico pitted the two countries. against each other at the Azteca Stadium on June 22, 1986. Everyone thought the quarterfinal would be a massacre of feet before it became one of the most controversial and exciting matches of all time. After a white first half, the second half came quickly. Just 6 minutes in, Maradona passed to Baruchka in the 51st minute. But an English defender pushed the ball back into the box. It was a loose air ball that Maradona jumped for in contact with goalkeeper Shelton, who flew to clear it with his glove. Maradona preceded him by bowing his head and putting his left hand on it. Because it was high, he dropped it with a quick fist into the goal, before running with his hands up, announcing the goal. No one noticed the trick shot except the pivotal defender, who raised his hand in protest, followed by the goalkeeper, and the Argentine player Batista ran up to him and said, "But you put it in with your hand." Diego told him, "Shut up, asshole. You have to hug me. Hug me like a good actor, otherwise the referee will see it and cancel the goal." The cheater showed his sincerity when he admitted that he had fooled everyone. 90,000 spectators didn't see that I scored with my hand. How could the referee have seen it? No, even the goalkeeper Shelton didn't see anything. It was the hand of God. Years later, Jorge Valdano revealed a funny and unexpected secret that surprised many when he confessed to Argentine television. Diego used to practice this move a lot during the preparation sessions. He had a special way of tapping the ball with his hand, bowing his head to cover it. We'd see him doing it from time to time and we'd laugh and he'd say, "Why are you laughing like idiots? It's a goal." Of course, no one could have guessed that he was preparing to do it when the opportunity arose in the England game. He was ready to ally himself with demons and angels to win that game, showing in front of the TV cameras what he was hiding in the locker room and the hallway leading to the stadium, publicly declaring, "It's just a football match. We have nothing to do with politics." In private, he kept encouraging his teammates with patriotic fervor. "You have to fight to win. Remember that the English killed your neighbors or relatives in the Falkland War." Only 4 minutes had passed when Maradona was holding the ball under the halfway line, pulling it with the sole of his foot, dribbling past one player before turning and beating another, then manipulating a third, passing the fourth at the line of play, before running at full speed into the box, facing Shelton's goal, and at that moment he had to decide in a split second what to do, before the sentence his younger brother Hugo had given him 6 years ago came to mind. "You should have dribbled past the goalkeeper. You idiot, you could have easily crossed. You could have had a shot instead of shooting like that." In fact, Maradona was doing what his brother had advised him to do with the goal of a lifetime. He explains, "At that moment I thought of my brother's advice. It was like a lightning bolt," while his teammate Canigia, who watched the goal on TV, said, "That dribble looked unreal to me, like something out of a Japanese anime. But his way of cutting through the defense like a knife through butter will go down in history as the Maradona Stampede." The Golden Boy smashed 5 players: Peter Beardsley, Peter Reid, Terry Butcher, Terry Fenwick, and Peter Shilton, in a 68-meter sprint that took just 11 seconds between the first dribble and the final kick into the den. After returning from the World Cup and winning the world title, the 1986 World Cup was called the Maradona Cup because of what he did. He provided assists, including the final pass to Barochka for the winning goal in extra time against Germany, 3-2, and scored 5 wonderful goals, including the mythical goal that became more important to Argentines than the World Cup, because it restored the pride lost in the Malvinas War and avenged the country's military defeat at the hands of the British. Maradona's 2 goals perfectly encapsulated the complexity of this match. The hand of God, a moment of blatant cheating, was a stain on sportsmanship. Yet, the goal of the century was a display of individual brilliance, a testament to Maradona's audacious talent. This duality, genius and gamesmanship, would forever define Maradona's legacy.